Hello, this video is about a few days I spent in the very beautiful Highlands. Amazing tourist weather, but really bad from the fishing point of view. It had been exceptionally warm for days, and even as you're watching the video, you'll think it's some of the days you'll think it's cloudy and ideal, but believe me, it was really bright and generally spoiling any chance of actually catching anything worthwhile. I'm starting off on this river section. My wife is just sitting quietly in amongst the heather, and as I was moving around, a salmon leapt in this little bit of a pool. Unfortunately, because of the brightness and the water level, I didn't have a chance in H to get it. Being an angler for many years, I've got so many excuses for failure. But I hope you'll just sort of sit down with a cup of coffee and enjoy the scenery and enjoy the locations. Because in the right conditions, this Inverpolly estate has got a lot of really good fishing. And when you book the fishing, the lady that runs it is exceptionally helpful. So that little fish was the highlight of day one on the river. I did, in all honesty, turn over one or two much better trout in some of the other pools, but they were, as people say, they were like lightning. They were sort of there and gone. It probably would have been much more sensible to have gone in the evening as the light was fading. But my wife and I had an agreement which actually worked very well for an enjoyable day, that she would come along and help me a little bit with some of the filming, and in the evening we'd go out for a really nice meal in Ullapool. And over the years, Ullapool's really picked up. There's plenty of nice places to eat. You can just imagine some of this water with, say, another 6 inches of water in the river and a cloudy day. Because this fishing took place in the first week in September, and there was locally quite a few salmon showing in different parts of the river and loch system. Another small trout just coming to the hand. Right in that situation so many of us have been in, where we're going through the fly box and thinking, what little wonder have we got that all worked today. So as you can see for yourself, that's a shot down the river going into the next loch. Spectacular scenery to have all to yourself. I mean, I live close to the Lake District, and I'm not knocking the Lake District, but some weeks during the summer I wouldn't dream of going there for a day out, because of the level of traffic and the difficulty finding somewhere reasonably peaceful to fish or walk. This is an interesting little pool with a deep gut running in. On that little bit of slacker water at the far side, I had several, well, I'd say almost reasonable sized trout were snatching at the flies, but really difficult to get the timing right. Just missed a trout just a second or two ago. It's interesting when you look at these smaller pools, there is always some rock just sticking up just right where you don't want it, so you don't get that nice smooth flow round with the flies. Whilst, as I said before, if it had that extra 6 inch or so of water in, it would come round like a dream. And that last third of this pool had a very nice steady flow on it, so again, if the water was there, you would expect some sport with sea trout and possibly North salmon. Probably if you want to sort of go along with me and imagine me catching fish, if you sit with a bowl of water beside you and just splash your hand in it occasionally, will simulate me landing fish. So I wandered right the way down this little river to where it joins the loch. Further down, the bankside going is very, very awkward. Right, we go day 2. In the past, I've fished this loch on 2 different occasions, well, at least 2 different occasions. On the other 2 occasions, boat fishing, I had quite a lot of sport. With a good stock of very healthy trout. Now it's a very sizable piece of water, and I'd booked a boat, but I had to change that booking to bank fishing because unfortunately the weather forecast said that we were going to start the day off with about 15-20 mile an hour wind, which is quickly going to rise to within the region of 50 mile an hour. But actually what happened is that although the breeze got up a little bit for a while, is it died away really nicely, and it would have been quite a pleasant day to be out on the boat. I'm not saying that because of the brightness and the days of warm weather we would have caught an awful lot, but it would have been a bit of fun anyway. So this little hole in amongst the reeds, I did have hold of a sizable fish in here. But again, the scenery is just wonderful, isn't it? You're looking at this, and there's an oil painting and watercolour painting. There's just fabulous. Oh shit! Lots of pleasant things to see on the shoreline if you keep your eyes open. Considering it's been so warm for so long up there, probably thanks to the wind and the depth of the water, there's no problem with algae growth. Nice looking trout.
Yeah.
Fly dropped out, which is always a good thing. Makes it nice and easy to return.
And the orange daddy.
I must have covered probably, say, half a mile of the loch, fishing in both directions, the shoreline, trying a variety of tactics from totally dry to wets with a fast sinking fly with a tungsten bead to get down, seeing whether there's anything at depth. But the only thing that worked for me was the occasional fish on the small dry. When you're watching this and I'm moaning on about the bright weather, you might think, oh, it looks pretty dull to me, but what was happening was I was waiting patiently, or in some cases not so patiently, for the sun to get a cloud, and that gave me about 10 minutes fishing when it looked reasonable.
My God, it's completely swallowed that daddy longlegs.
Day 3, we're out on this sizable rectangular loch, and if you look at the map, we fished the entire opposite side to the road, in and out of all the little nooks and crannies. So me and my wife, we had a fly in the water all the time and never had a pull or saw a fish. Absolutely nothing happened whatsoever. We did find the odd little weed bed where I was expecting a bit of activity, but nothing. So you can say the sun really did finish that water off. This is the rates for the fishing, and providing you with a phone number. If you're in the Ullapool area, do try at least a day on the Inverpolly estate. My experience is not a true reflection of its fishing capabilities by any means. So when we got to the farthest point of the loch, the wind started to build up slightly. And all I can say is thank goodness we got an outboard. Well, it's my own electric outboard, which does an amazing job on these sizable boats. Right, we're back on the river, the lower end of the river, and there's a tiny loch which is very weedy. And it was absolutely stuffed with salmon. unfortunately you'll get a shot in a second, right in amongst all this reeds that's sticking out. There was a sort of indentation, and you can see it now. Every few seconds there'd be something take off. Now normally the wind would be blowing onto the shore and would help me be able to sort of like cast my fly round the corner, but that day it was blowing off the shore very strongly, and I was having an awful job trying to get the flies in anything like the right direction. Now on the far side I did see one or two fish jump, but as I'm led to believe on this fishing that we book, each bank is differently owned, so the local club has the opposite side, so I wasn't able to sort of make my way around and cover that side, which was a shame, because where I saw the fish at least it was open. I'm not saying I would have got something, but at least you have a sporting chance. Anyway, coming back up the river towards the road, I had a flick in this little pool here, and immediately a sizable sea trout grabbed the fly and of course promptly dropped off. But at least it gave me the encouragement to work my way down the little river again, fishing all the little holes and pots and things. And with the handful of small brown trout I caught, I actually really enjoyed that session. Talking to a local chap that's fished there for years, he says that on the little loch, if you get a day where the wind is so diabolically strong that nobody in the right mind would go out fishing, he says, and it fishes really well for salmon. By the way, if you come here yourself, and don't go off the path when you going to fish that loch. I went off the path, and it was diabolical, boggy, unpleasant, lots of sunken holes, swampy bits. I would have done more drone shots, but unfortunately my drone is very temperamental with the wind, and it flies all right, but then it comes back and tells me that it can't film because of the wind. I think, well, just do it. In this day and age, even your electrical goods are full of attitude. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this look at the scenery on the Inverpolly Fishing, and you can see it's a joy to fish, or come to, even in the worst conditions, fish-wise. So you can imagine it'd be pretty amazing on a good day. So please like, comment, subscribe. Again, thank you so much for watching. Bye for now. Bye.